Lawson in front.
Oh.
I think it's before the rest of that.
Good evening, everyone. We're gonna kick this off. It's gonna be a very informal evening. We have a couple of slides to work through, then we're gonna open this up to Q&A, which is I know why you're over here. We're going to ask that if you have rec plan questions, we're gonna hold those. Make sure we address all the other bits and bubbles, and then the time remaining, we'll open it up to questions for the rec plan. If for some reason time is not allowed, there's a box over there with comment cards, and then there's also an online Google form that we're recording responses. We've had, I think, 22 people respond so far online, and 13 people respond in cards. So we're still looking for feedback. Hopefully we'll get your questions out tonight, but if not, there are other ways we want to hear from you as well. So let's kick off this PowerPoint, and Lindsay is also going to be writing down any questions if you're watching from home. So just make sure to type those in, and she will get those to us, and we'll address those when we get to Q&A.
Great. Is this microphone working? Okay, there it is. Hi, everybody. So this is just a slight departure for the first 10 minutes of this presentation. Then we'll open it up to questions, as the mayor said. The idea with this is just to get to know a little bit more about government. I just spoke to someone 20 minutes ago who moved here in June, and she was asking a lot of questions before I ran over here. And so I said, you know, if you want to come over, then come over, but she was busy. So just a little bit about who we are. Of course, this is the first time that we're doing this town forum since the election back in May. So you know the three of us, a little bit, if you don't know our backgrounds, my background's in public health, Daniela's background's in finance, of course, Jim's background is in law, and I think together we have a really unique ability to, you know, look at all challenges across disciplines and across areas of the town. So we're in a really unique position here at Collingswood where we bring our unique talents to the table. There's sometimes folks think is known knowledge, and yet, like I said, I was just speaking to someone who had no idea how the town works. So there are no silly questions, and let's just set the stage for this evening that is the kind of timbre and the scene. To understand how the borough of Collingswood works. So you elect 3 commissioners, and each of those commissioners has a title. What that means with this Venn diagram is that we each have a director title, but of course there is overlap. And so we work together on policy change and on other implementing factors, but we each have our role. So myself, I'm Director of Public Affairs and Public Safety. Daniela is Director of Revenue, Finance, and Sustainability, and Jim is the Director of Public Works, Parks, and Public Property. Of course, you can email us, call us, reach out to us, as well as the staff at the borough for any questions about any topic, and we can get you what you need to get the answer. So it's been really interesting in these 5 months in this new role. There's no job description, right? There's no job description for being a commissioner in Collingswood. And so being the adult students, the always learner that I am, it was important for me to kind of understand, well, what are the roles? What are the things that we're supposed to do together? So I put these together, and what I wanted to just take a few minutes tonight to emphasize was this role of boards and committees, because this isn't always clear. There's a lot of me asking questions, asking folks that are, is this how this works? Who's on this committee, etc. And I think for the residents in the town, in particular, if you're looking for ways to get involved, this is a helpful way to understand how these work. And it's just as far as what is the purpose of these. So as you know, whether you've been here since June or whether you've been here your whole life, this town has run for its whole life on the fabric and the people in the community. And so by being on boards, committee, and volunteer roles, these are ways that residents and individuals in the community can be involved to participate in local government so that your voice is heard. You can bring your perspective, your lived experience, your expertise, all to local government and help guide policy and initiatives. So these are the kind of 3 buckets, and I first have Daniela and Jim and some of our wonderful borough staff here as well. This is my understanding. Some of it, I may need to lean on some of them to make sure that I'm 100% correct, but this is my understanding of the way that local government works. There are board appointments. So we have things like our planning board, those are board appointments. And these are appointed and selected by the mayor and commissioners. There are several advisory committees in town. So advisory committees are closed committees. So the board appointments and those board meetings, such as the planning board, are open to the public. Advisory committees are closed meetings, and these are individuals who apply based on their skills and their representation, such as the Health Services Advisory Board, which makes recommendations to the governing body. So these are closed meetings, and then there are volunteer committees. So there's lots of ways to get involved across local government and of course across opportunities. Go ahead.
Jump in right here. So board appointments, that's also the historic commission. And something that we have changed up a little bit. I think it's always been who's interested, but maybe not quite as formalized. We want to make sure that when we have openings on the planning board, on the historic commission, that even though they are an appointment from the three of us, that we have everyone apply that feels they're interested and they want to. Now this is a departure, I think simply because there haven't always been a lot of people interested, right? I know that when I was speaking to the rest of the planning board, I told them that 16 people applied for the opening in July. They were all shocked. Like, what, 16 people want to be on the planning board? Like, you don't have to convince them? Like, no, we just asked, and 16 people said, yes, choose me. So that's something that we're going to try to continue to do, is that when we have these appointments that come from the governing body, that we're going to open it up to the public. We're going to ask for your resumes, your skill set, why you think you would fit, and then take from that pool and make sure it's something that everybody hears about and has access to. Because sometimes you might email our administrator or our zoning officer or one of us, but then the other one doesn't get it somehow, and it just stays in these pockets. So this way it's cool, and then we can call on these names for other ways, like there's only so many spots, but maybe we find another spot for you to give back. Another advisory committee that I'm gonna put up there is the police advisory committee.
It's on some more.
Oh, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Okay.
Queued me up nicely. So just one more slide and then I have no slides. So what do members do? So wait, if I sign up for one of these things, what am I being asked to do? And we're asking all of you, how you'd like to get involved. And so attending regular meetings, reviewing materials. So if you're on the planning board, for instance, you review applications before you go to the meeting. You provide feedback and recommendations. So as the mayor mentioned, the police advisories committee works with the chief of police, Kevin Carey, who's sitting in the back, makes recommendations to discuss matters at hand, and makes recommendations there. And influence community initiatives. We're a small town, our population is somewhere around 14,000. We're neighbors, we're friends, we're colleagues, we work together. And the best way that we can solve local problems is with local solutions with each of you. And so these are just, again, those buckets and ways that you can get involved. And why it matters. When I was putting together these slides, I was thinking of these first 5 months in borough leadership and some of the amazing things that I really had the privilege to be able to see, including on the bottom in the center is from one of our new businesses on having a new say it and play. And just the opportunities and what is involved in this town. You speak to most people on Collins, but they love living here. They've been here a short time or a long time, and people really rave about their block, their neighbors. This makes up that fabric and that tapestry of the community. So that's why community participation matters. These are some examples of board appointments. You can see more about this on the Collinswood website. There's the library board. Carissa, who's the director of the library, is your contact person there. The Historic Preservation Board, Anita, who works at the borough, serves as the secretary for that board. And then the planning board, Madeline or Maddie Dietz, who works at the Senior Community Center, is your point person there. The advisory committees, so again, these are not public meetings, these are advisory positions. There's the Health Services Advisory Board, the Police Chiefs Advisory Committee, and the Shade Tree Advisory Committee. And then last but not least, You don't want to sign up for a whole huge commitment. You want to give a couple of hours, which would be amazing. There are a lot of just of committees and ways that you can give back to the town. There are multiple ways to give back to the town. Of course, these are just some, but these are kind of come and go. So if you are interested in these, I've listed some email contacts. You can also reach out to any of the three of us and the borough staff. We'd love to get you involved. And that's it. That was 10 minutes, I think. Almost on the dot. Any questions before we open it up to any other topics for the night?
Thank you for that, Amy. I want to add that, of course, like you didn't see anything in the world of rec on there. Because those volunteers usually come through whatever the activity is, whether it's the mind or youth theater or soccer. Those volunteers tend to come up through the activity itself. If you want to volunteer in any of those things, we can also get you connected when you should put it up there because that's not really a decision that's coming from Borough Hall. So, all right, now, this is really about you guys. And as Jim has taught us, this is about asking what you want to learn more about, questions you have, things you've seen, things you've noticed that you want to share with your governing body. In as informal a setting as we can muster. So we're gonna open this up to you. There's a microphone here in the middle. Great, we have our first. You're on, I'll bring this to you.
I think I could talk pretty good. Okay. Yeah, I won't get on here. I'm just concerned about the electric bikes and the way they're used. I mean, I see them on sidewalks around the park going very fast while people are walking. I see them ignoring stop signs and everything else, but yeah, okay, maybe they're a bicycle, maybe they're not. I see them in large groups riding at night, doing wheelies down Commons Avenue. And they're often accompanied by, off-road motorcycles, small motorcycles. And there's enough of it going on. We see them coming down the street only because there's a street light, they don't have the lights. And somebody's gonna get killed and none of us want that to happen. So just curious as to what we might be able to do.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a second. That's a good question. Chief Carey.
So e-bikes are relatively new. There's not a whole lot of laws out there as far as enforcement is concerned. So from the chief's perspective, at the county and state level, we've been meeting with legislators to make them aware that this is an issue, looking to get some legislation on the books. There's been a few horrific accidents that have unfortunately helped that along. But at this point, there's just not really a whole lot of heat in the wall for something. So we do what we can, but it is a huge issue that we have a lot of serious concern about.
So do you have a sense of how long it's gonna take to get those? Is it 3 or 4 years?
I would say that the gubernatorial elections might catapult some change happen. I think both houses just kind of not setting right now. It's a good lead, so that.
They do go very fast though. I would say I live on Haddon right now and you see them whiz by and you don't see them when you're driving, you don't see them when you're walking. The lack of lights is a concern. I've never ridden an e-bike. Do many of them come with ones? I don't think they even come with, hold on.
I have one.
They have with lights.
All over, front, back.
Yeah.
So
They don't come
I
without.
don't know why, and mine came with them, so I don't understand. It's an electric bike. I don't understand why
Why
they
you
don't
on
all
with that
have them.
on?
Well, they also don't, a lot of people don't wear helmets too, that's kind of.
This feels like something we could also maybe have a conversation with the bike share.
Basically,
you know,
there's a lot of kids too.
yeah, and a lot of
And they-
kids.
And they just disconnected.
That's probably the case.
Feel like we should tap in our public health expert to see what kind of bike safety, whether it's e-bike or regular bike. Oh, Chief Carey.
Just very quickly too, there are pamphlets available that we can share with the school. They already do have those, be drawn about that, do the dangers behind them and how you should be operating them. So we can certainly grab them and share them.
Yeah, Chief.
I don't know.
Can I just look?
Oh, yeah, follow up.
a person is on a regular bicycle and they run right through a stop sign. Do you have any ability to say?
Bicycle, no.
Hey,
No, it's a stop signs are regulatory for motor vehicles, and a bicycle is not considered a motor vehicle.
so I guess motorized.
Motorized only on a certain size and be able to go a certain speed.
How about sidewalks?
Sidewalks, they should be driven in the streets, not on the sidewalks, and to answer the question about lights, that is something that laws do allow, they do have to have a headlight and tail lights, dark out, but.
Question was probably a good segue for this.
There's a mic there in the middle.
Might have to be turned on, sorry.
How do you go? Hi, so I moved to Collingswood last year. I've been doing a lot of biking around town. And my husband and I also just walk around town a lot too. I was wondering if there was any progress on the Connect 2020 master bike and pedestrian plan for Collingswood and Haddon Township, if there's been any progress on the some of the recommendations that were proposed in that master plan. And I don't think that hopefully ties into the last question of some of the discussion, because I think more safe bike and pedestrian facilities make everyone safer on the roads.
Absolutely, that's a great question. Connect 2020 is a really fantastic resource that the previous administration worked very hard to make happen and work in partnership with Haddon Township, right? Because we're all connected. So the fact that it was done with so many stakeholders is what gives it a lot of value. Sandy Kelly, who was a consultant with the borough up until June, was our point person on Connect 2020, and I'll be honest, we have not made strides on it since then, but that doesn't mean that it's not in our view. And one of the things that we are targeting and thinking about when it comes to the renovations and the investment in Knight Park is one of the biggest things that people seem to be asking for is for trails, for bike lanes, things like that. So if we're going to be making any sort of investment in trails and paths through Knight Park, how can we do that? Keeping in mind Connect 2020. So that's one of the stakeholder groups that we very much want to be involved in how we shape the investments in Knight Park to make sure that anything that we do helps move that path, that plan forward. So that's that path.
There is one project that's underway now, that is part of Connect 2020, which is at, Atlantic and Collins Ave. So that was part of the demonstration project for the DVRPC that led to the Connect 2020 plan. We've had those, little the yellow targets that go out in the middle of the street that everybody tries to hit as they're going by. That right now, one of the reasons why you can't get across town the last few days is the construction that's happening there now. So that'll be rounding out and extending some of that curveway on the turns there at Atlantic and Collins. Park Ave, the county is, heavy into redoing that road there. Don't think we're gonna have, I'm not sure if there's gonna be bike markings or not there, but I don't think so, because it was intended to be on Atlantic, because Park is just too heavily traveled to Atlantic was the better option. But right now, it's really not good, because in a car, you can't drive in a straight line anywhere in town, so. But the Connect 20, the first phase of it's happening in Atlantic and Collins.
Why do you let all those cars park in the park?
In Knight Park,
Yeah,
the school, the schools?
I've never, every park I've ever been at, they don't have all that parking.
Can I just, where would
I'm
those cars park?
I don't know.
Okay, well, that's why they park there.
So it's two-pronged, right? You have during the day, there's a specific chunk that's what the high schoolers use to park. I think some teachers may also park there.
Sure.
Students park there, and that is rather removed that drive aisle is, I think, rather removed from the park. I think we may also be referring to is nights and weekends when you have Little League, rec soccer, baseball tournaments. And then it does get very full. One of the suggestions that we received for Night Park was to make it one way. I think the idea of eliminating all parking is tough. Sundays without cars, fantastic, but doing that every day, is a little hard for the amount of people that use the park for practices and in the evenings, but I really like the idea of the one way. To at least make that center section, and just make the whole park one way, you're not trying to guess which one goes two ways, what happens. And that's something we have to look at, but I think that could be a relatively low lift. Just some signage and, information campaigns, so people now know to only go in one direction. And that help you get people off the grass and whatnot.
I just wanted to, is this? Yeah.
I just wanted to bring up, trees. I love trees. I know about the commission. I understand the importance of shade trees. I really appreciated reading about Bobby Hastings in the newspaper that came out and his background, Morris Arboretum, wonderful. There seems to be a huge focus on sycamore trees. And I wish I had a copy of this week's retrospect because there was a great article last week about Haddon Township and shade trees, but how they mix them up. And I wonder, there's so many other trees like, pin oak and white oak and the sycamores. I guess from a personal perspective, I never realized that they never stop dropping their leaves. It's like August and I'm having my leaves blown, like it's October. But more so thinking of the borough and liability. A couple months ago, my husband and I were enjoying a glass of wine as we were barbecuing in the backyard, and we heard this huge crack and then a smash. And this big branch just fell right on the side of between our house and our neighbor's house. And there was a woman across the street with a baby in a pack and a toddler in a stroller. And I mean, she was scared to death. So I'm just wondering from a liability standpoint, they also are fast growing. They pull up the sidewalk and they have to be trimmed so much that they just look so misshapen.
Yes.
So, I understand, I respect the shade commission, but can there, and then our neighbor across the street, I guess you'll give them away, recently planted, and my husband looks at, oh my gosh, it's another sycamore tree. So I wondered if the tree commission could sort of think about diversifying the kinds of trees that they plant perhaps moving forward.
Cass, we get yearly, there's a grant that we apply to that gives us those saplings, correct?
Yeah.
Some of the
There's a
saplings.
sapling giveaway, but there's itty bitty babies.
Those
Yeah,
itty bitty
there's not
babies.
mix, I think, of trees.
Okay.
When we plant curb strip trees, they're much older than the saplings. Yeah.
Are we planting sycamore still? I
So,
don't think we are.
Yeah.
I mean, I could ramble longer than anyone here.
No, go ahead. This is the area of super.
Yeah, whoever's there. So I will be more than happy to help you at the meeting, but there is a constant push and pull. I think if you look at over the past 30 years in the town, there was a wave of Japanese trees that sell those quantum cherry. That has to do with the hardiness and whether it's we're in urban conditions, there's salt in the roads, there's pollution. There's a constant pull between wanting zone 7 and zone 4 that was here always versus what works. Sycamores have come back around, and again, you have practical versus what was always here. I'm not a great fan of them. I agree, it is eternal fall when you have them, plus with allergies. But they have been peppered in over the last years, but generally you're getting more hardy. We got away from Bradford pears too. So there was waves of things we were taking a shot at. Sycamore seems to be in fad again, just to get some more around because we have like 70 to 90-year-old ones, and that's it. It's a large gap of time where we weren't planting in different streets. So you will see them a little bit more. They're not that heavily used. I could look, I don't remember off the top of my head the last order we made, but it's not a lot.
Yeah, we do mix it up. It's a diverse, like our budget is diverse.
Like sycamores and stuff, but white oaks, like you were talking about, too big or beautiful trees, but like under wires, it's not gonna work out. We try to do a lot of stuff in the park to get it.
There's some tree in front of our house that's beautiful, I assume, the bird put it in. There's pretty white flowers in the spring and outside all these pods. It's,
Big dogwood.
anyway.
But we try and have a balance between what's gonna work and stay alive versus what's gonna get into our wires. We're gonna be complaining that we've done it 1 year. I think it's a balance.
Thank you, Steve. Steve Oreo, our superintendent of public works.
I don't have a tree segue, but I have an early.
No, you don't.
I have an earlier segue, so it's kind of like bikes, it's about, whatever we're building for the curb breakout in Colleen. I live, with my spouse over there since 2002, Woodlawn Avenue, 129 Woodlawn Avenue, and, I spend a lot of time in upkeeping the yard and spending a lot of time on the traffic that's flowing on that street. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people here that can speak personally of the traffic on their own street. I am here to speak of this close away from a tragedy. And, I was witness to it where, there's vehicles on that street that they don't even live on the street and they're coming down around the apartments, and that is like the game of Frogger to get to and from. And I understand the state is responsible for the trip, for the roads, and we're expending all this money. I'm just asking for some sort of possibly presence from chief of police and police to be a presence in the areas that are hot. In an area where schools and kids, like Woodlawn Terrace and Woodlawn Avenue, there's like that triangle there, and you all come by and had put in crosswalk, repainted a crosswalk there. There's another crosswalk directly in front of our house, was a crosswalk that wasn't painted. And that is just the scariest scene. If you spend any kind of time out there, there was a gentleman that just sped toward this little girl that went across on her bike. And he pumped his brakes, she crossed the street, and I mouthed something pleasant in saying, like, you were speeding. And then I was almost assaulted. So I would love to be dramatic up here and say that, I'm just doing this as a homeowner that, really wants her own lane heard and observed, but it's because we have so much outside the community coming in to enjoy our community. That road is a throughway from Cooper River, getting from 70, getting from 38. I mean, Maple has, at least you can't park on one side of the street on Maple. So whoever's parking, however people are parking, you're not like playing Frogger to and from, and, not everybody's like overly conscious of who's coming onto them, but, we are inches away from a tragedy. I'm telling you right now that it's gonna happen, and I don't want it to happen. And sometimes, I'll blow my yard on a Friday night just to be out in the middle of the street, slow things down. I hope to not get hit. So, I'm full with a little energy in presenting this, but it's my first time. I appreciate what all three of you are doing, and the police and everyone else in the community, but in any way that I can, you want to see video, I'd be more than happy to sit at a four-way stop at Maple and Woodlawn and show you repeatedly what happens, in front of, Pope, Officer Pope, yeah, I'll sit right there and show you video time and time again.
So can I just suggest that like, we can have the chief of police come out, the police come out and take a look at it. The borough's happy to go take a look and see if there's anything that can be done. I just want you to know, there's nothing special about that four-way. Okay, you can kind of pick four ways everywhere in town.
So it's which
The-
one
It's,
we have a
it's
tragedy,
people, well, it's just that, well, especially since the pandemic, people are driving
agreed.
crazy.
Yep.
Okay,
I mean, can we physically
so-
put a police car in these spots during hot times, whether
we don't
kids?
have that many cars.
Have people, have they
Can I-
considered speed
Can I,
humps?
can I just fit, okay, so
Well,
just-
let me just, yeah, let me just, what does help, okay, is physical changes to the street, okay, bump outs. That's why there's a fountain in the middle of Haddon Ave, like those kinds of physical changes are what slow it down. We've historically never done speed bumps because they, and I can refer you to the other towns that have done it and will tell you today, like Haddonfield, we ain't ever doing another speed bump,
Really?
okay? Yeah, because people, the people that are
They're loud.
speeding, yeah, they find out there's a speed bump when they go over it. And so the folks that all live in that area now deal with like screeches, all that. It doesn't slow them down until they like get
They
beyond,
get beyond.
okay?
And how many
But
police
physical
vehicles do we have?
changes,
So when you say hot spots or hot times, what does that?
So
what does
it,
that
it can be, I mean, any Friday night, you wanna take anything that's happening on, dinner reservations and people coming out of town from that area, whether it be off of 38 or Cherry Hill, I don't even know. After work hours, it's hot, school time.
So school
Well, it's a
time-
through street. Woodlawn's a through street.
Sure,
That's the big
school time,
problem.
Do we have, a crossing guard there? Do you care?
crossing guard on Woodlawn,
No, okay.
only as they get closer to the schools.
So how many vehicles are in Collingswood, I guess, police vehicles?
Police
do we have?
vehicles?
Is there a
Could
stop-
vary, but so.
Excuse me?
is there a stop sign at that?
There's two
Okay.
stop signs, it's Maple and
Yeah, I'm looking.
Woodlawn, and then,
Spring?
Hope, Hope.
Island.
Island.
So, yeah. I think it's whether we say it's all over Collingswood, okay. I'm here to speak on that. It's a major throughway. It is extended after the pandemic, even worse.
Concord too.
Yeah, so
Is that all our question? That's all our road? Okay.
I think that's all I really have.
I
But
just
thank
wanted
you.
to
Thank you.
chime in,
Yeah.
and first of all, say thank you. I know sometimes you said it was your first time coming to this meeting. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you for being brave and standing up. I got me into me to ask questions.
Yep.
I also want to say that we are waiting on the results of a traffic study, about different intersections in town, and we will use that data in order to make, some policy decisions. Did you want to add something? About Browning?
Yeah, so there's like safe walks to school, they came and did, we did walk studies on the 5 elementary schools, the middle school, and high school. And they spoke with crossing guards in town, they saw what the commute looks like in the morning, in the afternoons for pickup, where the hotspots are. I don't know off the top of my head if, like, how much of Woodlawn was looked at in that study, but that's a good question. And that was done on the state level with the idea being that we can now, because we do have intersections of places where it's our road and then the county road, and then it's with across 130, and that's the state road.
It's Woodlawn, I'm sorry.
Woodlawn and Alice.
It's out your road, so you can do whatever you want on that road, like make it a one-way.
You can't do whatever you want, but you know,
Because what happens at the bank? What's going in that location at the end of
On
Woodlawn,
Woodlawn.
across from the community park?
it'll be a mixed use project. It'll be commercial on the first floor
More
and housing up
vehicle flow,
above.
would we say? Is
Pardon?
it more or less vehicle flow on Woodlawn?
It's not gonna make any major, there's 9 residential units going there. It's not gonna be a,
And the parking lot,
Thank you.
parking lot will open up again.
I think I just brought it to topic to maybe have the police come and sit there in hot hours, to put a vehicle there. It doesn't take any kind of study or research to just take a part of a shift and see really what's happening at those stop signs.
And again, you said those hotspots you feel like are like,
Definitely
evening.
Friday nights, all day Saturday. It is like the game of Frogger to try to get out on that road with vehicles that are parked on both sides. And you're making an attempt to cross the road or.
great. Friday nights and Saturdays, customers, so that,
Thanks.
thank you. Anyone else?
Can I ask a question, Amy Telfer, can I ask a question about the rec plan or?
Let's see if there's
Or we're
any
saving
non-rec
that for the-
plans, and then we'll jump on. and
Okay,
then we'll-
sure, done.
Okay, back here, in a hat, sorry, I was hand next.
Hi, yes, I do agree about Woodlawn, even though I don't.
Turn it on.
Versus.
One question,
One question a lot of tourists. About the meters and stuff, so is it, like, I guess it's no more coin now, it's like, parking will pay by app, is that what we're doing now?
No, it was.
Depends on
This
I
point,
think there's a handful that are still coins, the majority probably is like all, oh, they all have the ability to pay.
So they still, cause it seems like sometimes people put coins in there and nothing.
nothing happens.
Yeah.
I've had people tell me
So if that happens to you, you can call the non-emergency line, 'cause that means just having a non-function and need to go out and fix it.
Water on top.
No, but
all.
that's been going on. Like, I don't, yeah, I live on that, so, but I know people ask about that all the time, and when I see people put home through there. It doesn't register or register, stuff like that, so I'm kind of asking. So it's weird.
So
They all take cash.
if they cash, they should be working. So the thing is, we have, our parking enforcement is a rather small force, but so they're once they fix one, they go to the next, and then by the time they finish fixing them all, they start over again. So at some point, it's just going from one to the next to make sure they're all operational, and he's out there all the time. So it's a constant, Chief Carey's nodding at me, so I think I hit that one on the head. But we hear you. Hear you, thank you.
Alright, so there's a number they can call if they say we should.
If there's a specific one that you're like, oh, this is not working, call the non-emergency police line, let us know, and then instead of checking on other ones that maybe are working, then we'll put that one on the list to take a look at it.
So just give them that number.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Alright.
Thank you.
Well, I gotta figure it out.
It's on.
My name's Kathy Byer. I've lived here 22 years. And I'm single. And, oh, I have to say that all of you have really worked in getting this town better. But it's losing its artsy fartsy thing. That's why I moved here. And I'm starting to think that I'm getting overwhelmed by people with little kids. And with strollers that have to push me out of the way. Then the other thing is.
There's too many kids in town?
It's just the Oreo.
Walking on the sidewalk. Yeah, no, the stroller is the more important thing. The other thing is, I have to commend you for letting the CR Indivisible do the thing at the Collingswood parking lot down there, but I'm really appreciative of that. And I would also like to know, have you guys directed that to the police that they can't help ICE? I would like that too.
All right. It's not artsy fartsy enough anymore. And too many, so first on the arts front, there's a creative committee that was started by Rob Lewandowski, I would say maybe 4 years ago, 3 years ago, but started during the pandemic via Zoom. Not with the most direction, just because of the time that it was started up and the injection of energy into it. We are reviving it. We have, they had their first meeting, 2 weeks ago. There's another meeting coming up in 2 weeks. Hoping to report back. I'll be in attendance at this next meeting, to see how we can infuse and support artists in town in a systemic way. Keep an eye out on your town crier. We're hoping to have a submission to town crier that posts all the different ways that you can get involved as an artist. So the different meetups, the different classes, There's a sip and draw at Raccoon Tap Room on a regular night every month. And there's somebody on the creative committee that's going to try to compile those as well as put their contact information. So like, hey, I also have this other medium that's done every second Tuesday and it wasn't on there. I would like to share it. So we're gonna try to centralize that information so you can see it and everyone can find a way to see what's going on in the creative space. So thank you for that. I cannot do anything about all the children. I have 2 of them. She has 3. Sorry. Yeah.
Roll.
The stroller, I know, it's getting fancier and bigger and.
Don't walk in a few years.
Yeah, but e-bike soon.
And lastly, I'm gonna let Chief Carey give a very quick response about our police force and their ICE. We had, and their support or non-support for ICE. We call it.
So our attorney general is a beat law enforcement official in the state, doesn't allow us to participate with ICE, the sheriff. So that's already a state regulation.
Okay.
Also,
We had a session about that topic back in June, which I believe is available, on the Collinswood YouTube page, about.
I
how-
don't do computers well. I'm
Understood.
75.
Great, we also could share the slide from that presentation that Chief Carey gave, the superintendent of schools was there talking about that exact topic, and the New Jersey Immigrant Directive. But
so if you want us to email you that PowerPoint, we can.
I don't even know how to use a PowerPoint.
Okay, it's open, you know what? So yes, our police does not support that. Okay, someone from this side of the room. Honestly, if you guys just come up to the mic, then I don't have to pick, I hate having to pick who's next. Anxiety inducing. I just had to do it in soccer practice with the 5-year-olds who was next, who put their hand up first.
Pick me.
And just leave the mic on.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Hey. I will leave it on. So on the topic of, safety for traffic flow within town, can we ask, recycling, trash, and, yard waste pickup to pretty please try to get the cans back on the curb? Cause I mean, I work from home, I take care of like my whole street and every other can that I walk past and pull back on, but I mean, there's a lot of town. I don't know if you realize how many miles of roads we have. I had another job to do. Also, the intersection in Eldridge behind the high school there, whenever it rains, it gets really flooded. Can we see if there's something we can do about the drainage there? Because it's really dangerous for the kids when they're crossing, because there's more traffic, more kids are getting dropped off in the rains. And they're riding their bikes and stuff like that.
Is it all along Aldridge or is this the
No,
big
it's
block?
just at that intersection, so
Except
it's,
Aldridge and,
what is that, chief?
Is it?
Culvert. Yeah, so it's when you're driving, to behind, the schools there. And it's just where the metal rates are. And then also, if we can see about maybe doing some kind of, crossing guard or something at Brownie and Collins. Because that is nerve wracking at dismissal. A lot of close calls. We've been doing a project there at the Collins Night House. We go there every day after school to water. And so it's not trash cans, it's that for me. Thank you.
great, thank you, Jen.
Next.
Okay. See, you guys self-police way better than we could here.
I wouldn't be called on. My name's Jim. Mike and I have lived here for 21 years. We're at the intersection of Woodlawn Avenue this year. It's one of those offset streets where I don't know how the roads are set up initially. Somehow the intersection is not a true intersection. And for 21 years, our stop sign has been like that, pointed towards the oncoming traffic. However, you don't really have to take a note down because over the summer, I think I saw something in one of the papers that had an email address. If you have problems with street signs, take a picture. I finally got around to that about 5 weeks ago, and what we want done is great. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Hello, my name is Constance Ditzel. I live in Collingwood, and one is a question, another is I wanted to make a statement. My first question is at a town hall a couple of years ago, we had asked the mayor about someone that I didn't, about how many licenses were allowed in terms of cannabis stores, and at the time, there were 3, and a parent had asked if there would be a limit to how many licenses, and I just wondered if that had changed.
There's, you can't, there's no numeric limit on it.
Okay,
The only area that is designated for zoning is basically along Route 130.
Mhm.
Okay, and so far, we have one that's open. And we have a couple others that for the last few years have said they're coming, but nothing's happened.
okay,
So there's no numeric limit on it. It's, it's just, it's limited by the geography.
I think the parent at the time was asking if there would be, and it doesn't sound like there would be. Cannabis is I know it's a hot topic in many ways, but this is a public service announcement. Some of these things in these stores are not safe. And there's something called kratom, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, Kratom. If you take enough of it, and you can, it's highly addictive, it doesn't pass drug screens. And it can cause liver damage and seizures. It's been banned in Australia, it's been banned in several states. And I am 3 days back from a funeral of my nephew in another state who took too much of this. So I would like to see a review. This may not be, this might be a state issue, frankly. So, but I'm mentioning it because this is a dangerous drug. And because it doesn't pass drug screens, there's the illusion that it's okay. And I would hate for anyone to lose a child from this.
Kratom.
So you're not gonna
How
find.
do you pronounce it?
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
that's-
I
like
just wrote
gas
it down.
station.
Yeah.
So, sorry for your loss, first of all, but the state regulates, like, I don't think they're gonna find that in Jersey dispensaries. I know that the state is working on trying to expand regulations to other products that are sold like in gas stations or in, other stores than the licensed dispensary. That's where they're having trouble coming up with and adopting regs that the things that should be regulated that aren't. It's
Well,
kind
this
of,
is no check for minors either.
but it kind of falls in the same category as the e-bike discussion we had earlier, which is the business and the industry has moved so much faster than the regulation has.
Yeah.
And so stuff is out there and the state's like trying to catch up with it to regulate what it is. It's not within our purview.
I know, but yeah, I want to
It's
keep.
the state is-
how dangerous it is.
No,
And for that, and also at the time you said that if the state makes a lot of money from it, we would see our property taxes go down. You
We have-
say that. We are not seeing our
Well,
property taxes.
you need to go buy the dispensary for us to do that.
So I was gonna say, I've only been into, the botanist one time, to give them an invitation to a campaign business event. And it was like going to Fort Knox, I had to press a button outside, tell them my name and my age before they would buzz me in. Where then, before even going in, there was like a front desk situation where I had to pull out my ID. They scanned my ID before I was even allowed to walk in to talk to somebody. So if this is something you're concerned about minors, a minor cannot even make it in the front door. So at the very least, I can tell you that about.
Well,
one
this
is very
was another state, and I'm sure everything is, in states are different, do different things, so, so there's that, and I did want to say something else. My name is Constance Fitzgerald, and I say that for a reason. I lived 25 years in Haddon Heights. I live here now. I am on the ballot for state assembly in November, running for the state assembly. And I am from Collingswood. You may not think I represent Collingswood. I'm running as a Republican. I know this is a very un-Republican town, but I am in fact for Collingswood, and I want to tell you why. I moved here, number one, after Haddon Heights. I'm not making a political statement.
Okay.
I promise.
All right,
Sounds like
great, you got 20 seconds, you got 20 seconds. You have
Okay.
All right.
I chose Collingswood after I lived in New York City because it's a diverse community. I love the town. I threw my hat in the ring because I think we don't need to pay such high taxes anymore, and I want to dive in that.
That's great, thank you so
All
much.
right.
Sorry to hear about your nephew. Thank you for running for public office, it's not easy.
You're welcome. I just wanted to see if they were going to put lines. I noticed that now they're in front of the stop signs, I see more lines and the crosswalks are being put in. The lines we put in about Powell Lane and North Atlantic Avenue, they haven't been replaced in some time, and there's no lines, and the kids are always running to go to the karate classes and so on.
When you say lines, do you mean
The line-
crosswalk or that big,
Thank you.
that big, okay, crosswalk? Because
There's
there's also
nothing,
that
they
big-
haven't been repainted in a couple of years, and the kids are running right from the parking lot over, and someone's gonna get hurt. There's no. the
Steven's
stops-
making a note.
Yeah,
On Powell?
Okay, yeah, Powell and North Atlantic. And the, that's another area where people don't stop. They just go right around circles and they don't stop at all. It's dark.
I was sitting there last night and got to see.
It's horrible.
It's just, it's everywhere.
Yeah,
People don't-
no, so I'm saying,
Stop doesn't mean stop. Doesn't even mean kind of slow down.
no, it just means go.
Hi, my name's Alan Basil. It's a very quick question. Are there any prospective tenancies for the larger vacant buildings like Wawa or Rite Aid?
Yes. No, but I think something's gonna be happening soon. Okay.
Okay.
If we're talking about vacancies, if you're not up to date on everything happening on the planning board, because not everyone tracks that, but, there is something coming into what used to formerly be Bartolo's.
Doggy style.
Doggy style, it's gonna be a pet store, they're going to also have, 2 dogs there at all times for adoption. And they're, dogs who behavior wise are kind of like your top notch, they're not barkers, they get along with everyone. I also heard that they're going to be paying their employees $26 an hour, and their priority is to hire Collingswood residents because they don't want anyone driving, they want people to walk to work. They also take all their trash with them, that's like part of their business model, they send vans to pick up their trash and then they dispose of their trash in a central location. Because they then, all the dog hair from the grooming and all this stuff. So they're a very exciting business coming into a very large vacant lot that's been there for a while, so that is happening.
Jersey kebab. Jersey kebab.
Jersey Kebab is apparently coming to town. Very excited about Jersey Kebab, loves of Mediterranean.
The firehouse is on, you see the construction.
Firehouse. And also, I did not know, but the upstairs tenancy is, there's a business upstairs at the firehouse as well. So there's only one open lot left at the firehouse, and that's the downstairs, if you're looking at it to the right, like with the big doors, so that's the lot that's left at the firehouse. There is,
What's coming in the firehouse?
the firehouse is going to be a cigar club. But in a coffee shop in the front, so, yeah, there's gonna be a coffee shop in the front and.
Up to like the public, just like a regular.
Yes, the coffee shop's gonna be open at 7 AM kind of thing, with outdoor seating, and it's barricaded off from the cigar lounge and where the smoking will be happening. I'll be happening behind like a different air ventilation system and different doors. You can't bring your own stuff on, it has to be things that are purchased there, and there's like a membership that you can then be part of, like a club. To have your own little locker with things, they're relocating from Haddonfield and bringing in, I think, some of their clientele, some of their members. There's also Collins Weir. Collins Weir is opening up behind Sarah's on Lincoln Ave across from Collingswood Music. And yeah, it used to be a travel agency, like back in like 2017, I think it's been vacant for a very long time. So they're gonna be in there, selling with a lot of cool merchandise, a lot of Collingswood Center merchandise, a lot of different vendors. A lot of, not consignment, that's the other word. They're gonna be representing a lot of different vendors, not just themselves. So if you've seen any of John Falco's work, it's always that pop-up alley over by Mercantile going. So John Falco's gonna be based out of, Collins Weir, so that's also coming. If I missed any other.
Namaste.
Oh, and Namaste has come back in, so we have an Indian bistro is back in town in the same spot as,
India.
as India. What's
Just one little interesting tidbit on the cigar lounge. This is only for folks over a certain age, okay? It's, this, what's his first name?
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
Mitch Mitch Gorshon, who's opening, the cigar lounge and moving to Panfield. Was a Disney Imagineer, he's retired, but his father is Frank Gorshon. Who was stand-up comic, who was, big time. But for me, at least, most famous as being the Riddler in the original Batman, series, so that's a really cool thing. If you're on Social Security. it's-
Sorry, Greg, I have to balance out Jim's really positive.
My name's
now, there is, somebody has made a statement about the, getting the trash cans back on the curb. I think it would be nice if people put their trash on the curb to begin and not out in the street. In particular, a couple times I've been, coming over like my parents and come off of 130 onto, South Park Drive. And the first two houses on the right-hand side right there at South Park Drive constantly put their trash cans out in the streets. And when they get mulch deliveries, that's out in the street. When they clear their brush, that's out in the street. And it's not like that's even a wide area to go through. And that happens a lot along there, on South Park, where people will put a lot of stuff out in the street and talk about a busy.
South Park and, sorry, South Park and.
South Park comes right off 130. So that, and there's a couple other places, in town, as well, where it's not a very wide street and people will put their trash cans and that stuff out in the street and it doesn't get plowed for makes things a little unsafe.
Thank you.
Good evening, Suzanne. Suzanne Olive. We were wondering, what are the plans for the borough, for the 250th birthday celebration next year?
I don't know, I think you're now the committee chair. Where's Sandy at? Tell him he's the chair.
We're actually registered with the Revolution New Jersey. Okay. To what degree will be involved, I don't know, but we're in communication with them, like larger celebrations. We haven't planned anything specifically, but we are in communication with them.
Okay.
Anything you'd like to see, any ideas you have?
Well,
That's a
you know,
good one.
in 76, Collingswood was involved with things. In 88, we had our celebration, our town celebration. And so many people were involved in that. And in fact, the dinner dance had over 1,000 people attending. So, there was a lot going on. So we didn't know if perhaps the borough was going to be involved and even the school system, with celebrating 250 years. It's still young, but it's pretty special if we have it.
Well, you brought it up at the right time to give us time to get thinking, so.
Okay.
Put it on the radar. I mean, I guess, new to this role, it's like, oh, you're right, I guess we as a borough should also do something, so that's a good idea.
Thank you.
Oh, Lindsay has some online questions she's gonna read out, and then, no, she's not read out mine. Okay. Thanks to Bob and Cindy Romano, Woodlawn Avenue is being used as a freeway, very dangerous, agreeing with previous commenter. Noted, Bob and Cindy Romano. Thank you. There was a lot of discussion about that Woodlawn, and we'll add that to the tally. Paula asking, why is Pro Imports at Haddon and Brown permitted to constantly store between 50 to 60 vehicles, many with no tags?
So this property is a habitual subject of our property maintenance for many moons. We are constantly enforcing fire lanes. This is the property right next to Newbie, right on the corner, right next to Newbie School.
I pass this property every day going to school. I'm sorry, I don't know why. It's just so.
Wait, do I have the right one? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah,
that's it.
yeah,
They're called pro.
Yeah.
So we're constantly trying to get fire lanes open there. The lack of registration, chief, but they can store cars there without registration, yeah. As an auto repair shop, they're able to do that. Unlike, a residence can't really have, isn't permitted to store cars without registration in their driveways, for instance. So they're permitted to have that. We just, whenever you see it, let us know, let the borough know, we'll get out there, but the best we can do on it is to, enforce fire lanes, which opens it up, have to move cars. I don't, the history here is like the company, the group that was there before, we had the same issues. They got to a certain size. It was Jesse Black and he moved to a property over in Audubon, a much bigger property, but they've really just outgrown the site and have to get to another location. But we're aware of it, constantly trying to make sure it's safe, put it that way.
Great. Is there any last questions before we transition to like rec questions?
What's going in the building, it was the DiDonato electrician, it's been vacant for.
The Dugan, is that?
On Haddock?
Pizza pla- on-
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
is it the
it's
pizza
the-
place? That's a pizza, it's a pizza place that got, which is another Italian restaurant. But it's a pizza place that, got their approvals like 150 years ago.
Yeah.
And they're finally just moving on, open it up. It's been a while, been a long while, long while, waiting for them to come in. But yeah, they're doing work out there now.
You heard it here first, folks. Anyone else? All right, we're gonna open up, if you have rec questions. About the rec plan. This is your.
I have one
Oh,
more.
hold on, Lindsay's got it.
I'll read it.
She's gonna read it now.
Can you give any update on the plans the county is making for street and sidewalk improvements to the Bettlewood Avenue Lakeview intersection?
So, I believe we're still on schedule that work is gonna be happening this year. So this is the kind of the triangle that is going to it's gonna be simplified. We're getting rid of part of a road. It will be better, but it's not, I believe they're still on schedule to be working by the end of the summer, start of the fall. We'll see, we're government, we go slow, but, but we do believe, no, I think it's scheduled. I thought it was 26, it was gonna be coming in, 25, gonna be coming in, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay.
We're in October, yeah. Will you come in like the end of next summer, I believe is when it's coming. You think you're looking
I
at?
don't think they bid it yet. so
Okay,
They're
alright.
coming in arrears, 26.
Okay, so yeah, it's just in the process with the county DPW.
Now for my own clarification, when that does go to bid, because it's like, that's a county project, correct?
Yes.
So it's not something you're gonna hear about during our commissioners meetings because it's not going to bid from us, correct?
You won't hear a bid item on the
Right,
agenda.
you're not gonna hear an ordinance or resolution about the bid item because that's happening on the county level.
But there'll be public outreach, because we've already done with the neighborhood, public outreach for everybody that lives right around that intersection and actually made some changes to the plans based on that input. But it's kind of gonna round out, get rid of one piece of the triangle and kind of round out the road, so it's more traditional intersection there instead of the
double
funky
stop.
triangular.
Is it gonna have the double stop
circle.
still?
The double stop.
Yeah. as you
There's
come-
like 12 stops there. Where's the double, which double stop do you need?
We can put,
The plan?
yeah, the plan on our municipal project. It's a county project, but we could put the map up of. There's no perfect answer. I said that intersection was tortured when I talked to the county about it. So it'll be better, but not perfect.
It's Stokes, Cassandra, it's Stokes, it's not, what's the,
Lakeview, Stokes.
it's Lakeview,
Yeah,
so,
that's it.
so from Bettlewood to Stokes, that little half block, little piece on Lakeview, that goes away. Okay, and then Stokes will be turned to line up more directly with Eldridge on the other side, so it'll be a square intersection, and that'll be just like a little park area there now.
More open space.
Yeah, yeah, a couple of the neighbors were thrilled because it gets rid of shoveling snow. one of the guys wanted to make sure that we would cut the grass now. A lot of very practical traffic safety issues.
Local government working for you.
We're focused, yeah.
There's a quick addition to that comment. Further, can we exert some influence to improve drainage around there?
That'll all be looked at as part of it, standard for the road projects. 90% of the road projects that get done when it's new, make the drainage better. Because where it's necessary, there'll be all new inlets, like all that stuff gets replaced.
And there's it's the watershed, the New Creek watershed, whatever, yes.
Mhm.
They were one of the partners in coming up with that plan, I believe.
Yeah, they thought Lorraine Prince, the crew had input on.
Yeah.
Yep. Is that who it is? Hello, Lorraine.
All right, so the floor's not open to any questions, any kind of questions, comments, compliments, we like those are fun, if anybody more of those, who goes in front of the line? Jen?
Thank you for painting the crosswalks along Maple today. They're looking super duper.
Thank you, Steve.
So those will last a long time, though. We put it in the budget, trying to do it every year, about 10 intersections. And those thermoplasts will last a decade or so instead of every year. And slowly chipping away.
That's what it says on the can.
We have another online question?
Regarding bump outs on Haddon Avenue, has one ever been considered for the crosswalk between the movie theater building and the funeral home? It's a busy crosswalk for the Patco station. Bonus, it would allow room for the historic marquee to be rebuilt.
Oh, back on.
Well, we just added the RRFBs there.
The blinking
Yeah,
lights.
we just added the flashing beacons there, and it's county road as well, so. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and the answer is no, that really hasn't been considered. Because it's just another block up the other way is the clock. But, you know, we can always look, and there was reference to the safe, I don't know what they call it, safe walk, no, Connect 2020, but the walking to school, there's the state's. The DOT commissioner from the state was out year or two ago, out looking at the White Horse Pike and Collins Ave. A bunch of changes are coming in there to help make it pedestrian friendly, a little more pedestrian friendly, but he really assigned a team to the borough, which is what has led to this study about increasing pedestrian bike safety towards schools. And that's the study that the mayor referred to about, that's been going on for probably over the last year. But that should be making a lot of changes too, in terms of, when it gets close to schools, a lot of change in traffic patterns, bump outs, some other work. And I do believe the intention is they will not only do a plan, but will help with funding to pay for that. Because the time between Connect 2020 and us doing one little piece of all that is, we just gotta get the money. That's all. We just have to round up the money for it. So hopefully the state will help.
In the crosswalk that this person mentioned does have a crossing guard, that is one of the school, so that's what we did when the Safe Walks to School crew was here with the engineers, the county, and state, is we literally walked like the most traversed paths from all the schools. I was there for two of them, but I'm almost positive for the walking to Tatum and Zane, that would have been a crosswalk that they would have absolutely seen in the height of when you have all the kids go back and forth. So it was definitely looked at.
I'll give you a compliment.
Oh.
I live on Park Avenue and you know all the construction, and I know that's county, but between our water department, our police force, and what the county employees have been doing, they've been super courteous to the neighborhood. And so much so that my neighbor is in her late 80s, and she needed a little closer place to park off of Park, and they made her a little place on Lee's Avenue, so she wouldn't have to go very far. And I really compliment our police department, our water department, and the whole crews that are working out there, because they've made it as easy as possible under the circumstances.
Thank you for that.
We know it's all of you on Park Avenue too. This is like having 3 kitchens remodeled. Okay, so it's like it ain't fun to live through.
Just touch on the speed bump thing you mentioned earlier, Jim. The other communities that did it. I don't know, I feel like speed bumps in certain places in Collingswood could be an easier alternative and, you know, maybe a fresh perspective to really take a look at it. I mean, I can't speak for the people who go over them and don't realize that, I mean, anytime I see a speed bump, there's usually a sign before it that says speed bump ahead. I live on Fern, which is, you know, a cut through from Cuthbert. And we didn't really realize it when we bought our house there, but Fern gets really busy too, for the Maple and I guess, I don't know why it's not working for some communities, but it seems to me.
Listen, it can all, everything can be looked at again, just telling you. What does make a difference?
Yeah.
And what has made a difference is narrowing, I remember being at a seminar with the traffic studies. If you're riding along the highway, you know, you hit those stretches where you're zooming along and then all of a sudden all the traffic stops.
Yeah.
And then you get to a certain point and like, it just opens up again, right? And you go like, what was the holdup? What the heck was that? Well, 9 times out of 10, you will find that it's like an overpass. It's just something that narrows the view for people. So, and that is what most all the traffic studies tell you will do the trick, which is fountain, cut the roads, the bump outs. Those kinds of physical changes on Woodlawn, like the worst thing we could do is like not have parking. Because the parking contributes to help slow it down a little bit. If there's no cars parked, well, you see how everybody flies, okay? It's just,
I don't really agree.
that's what changes.
At all.
That's fine, you don't have to, I'm just saying
Yeah,
that
but
narrowing
like
really helps
Maple
slow it down.
And park on one side of the street. Maple has one side of the street parking.
Because, yes, because it's not wide enough to have the two lanes.
It's not wide enough.
Okay,
If I may, I remember when I moved here about 22 years ago. You at a meeting were saying, half of the people want a stop sign, half of the people don't want a stop sign.
it used to be at these meetings,
And
somebody
that's-
over there would want one and someone over here would say, we have too many.
And that's why I'm back up here. I also live on Fern. I don't want a speed bump.
Right point.
Yes, sir.
My name is Greg Burgess, just in a comment about the speed bumps. They tried it a couple of times in Audubon. It doesn't work. So it's better to not have the speed bumps. There are better ways to adjust the traffic flow than the speed bumps.
Anthony Pugliese was one of the mayors that used to always say to me, never put a speed bump in.
It also, you always say this, it also affects emergency response.
Yes.
Something to consider.
I just want to say, I'm 60 years old, I've lived here my entire life, except for 10 years in Hatfield. Moved back to California. But for 10 years in Hatfield on Euclid, 2 speed bumps, they do not work. Cars smack it, I agree with my own. Like bumper strips is functional, this is loud, rather than it.
Sharon McCullough, the administrator in Hadfield, another one that's always told me.
Cattle chute slow things down, fountain slow things down. And also, I'm 60 years old. I've been crossing streets safely my entire life. I think a lot of the safety crosswalk things that we created, which I know the state mandated, just made people just walk out without even thinking. Using logic. And we live in a suburban area, which is nice, but we have a very urban attitude, which I think we're coming to terms with.
I think we're way more semi-urban than we are suburban at this point, and I think that's the shift, right?
To this mindset that we still have suburbia, strollers, dogs, not smart and artsy, but you know, this concept, but it's very urban. I mean, if you want to come to this is a very urban, reader centered comparison.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone? Bueller, Tara.
I'll bite, but just for a compliment. Just as a thank you from, the high school PTA for, our Department of, Public Works and our police officers for, helping us put on a safe event this past weekend. Thank you. And our borough.
You can turn that off now.
All right.
Actually, I'll take that as if there's no one else. This past Saturday was a really wonderful day in our community. We had 8,000 to 9,000 people at the No Kings rally. We had, Deputy Mayor give some wonderful comments. I was not there. I was at Knight Park at Fall Fest where all the 5 PTAs of the elementary schools put on an event. We had DPW drive around a tractor during the day, take kids on hay rides, raise some really crucial money that pays for all the field trips and all the fun things that our kids get to do. And then that evening, the high school and middle school had their haunted hayride, and everyone will recall that last year was a tough year for that, and they really reacted and thought of a different way to do things. And our police department, our DPW, and our fire really lended a hand because it took, all hands on deck to keep a town tradition alive in a way that was safe for everyone. So all of those events were going on, and I think there was also some sort of a dog event. There was a lot of events happening.
Farmers market.
The farmers market that morning, and they all happened smoothly, and, I was at Knight Park for 8 hours that day between soccer and this Fall Fest. And I had no idea what was all going on. It was just full, the park was closed to cars. And it was a wonderful day. It took a lot of work from everyone in the community, so thank you all for that.
Okay.
Okay.
No, it's just, I was waiting for you to say,
Yeah,
we're
and,
done. Thank you all for
coming
coming.
out tonight.
Thank you.
Feel free to email us, whatever you need. We love to hear from you.
Thank you. Thank you.